A hard-playing, well-coached team, but this environment tonight was, I think, beyond even what maybe I anticipated. Um, it was so credit to everyone who was here, and I thought their fans gave them great life and energy and made a run on us, and we didn't always handle that as well as we needed to. I think, mixed teams a lot like ours, where there is some new faces and it's a little bit of a transition time for him, and we've got a lot of things to figure out. I'm sure he does, but as I told him, I have tremendous respect for, people take it for granted how hard teams play, and with mixed team, it's such a consistent with how hard they play, and I think probably they missed some shots tonight that they'll normally make. So we're grateful for the win. We'll take it and try to move on and get ready for Sunday.
Chris, you said that you thought this would be a test of toughness and resiliency. You seemed pretty confident in that and ended up being that. Just what did you learn about your guys seeing them go through that first game of the season?
I think we responded well. I want a bigger sample size before I make too many proclamations about how we'll handle that. But I thought we handled it pretty well. I probably got to even handle myself a little better with the officials at times. This was certainly a good test on that end, and I think at times we really responded well. I mentioned the play that Keyshawn made late there to find Caleb at the top of the key was a tremendous play, showed great poise in the midst of kind of a pretty incredible environment.
When CJ goes and gives you that layup late to sort of ice it, were you looking for your leader, your senior, in that kind of moment there?
Yeah, we had talked about that at timeout. That was what we were trying to get a switch and then drive the switch. Their defense, I tried to tell our guys that we're going to see a lot of clunky possessions because of how well they defend, and you just don't see a team that switches as much as they switch across the board. And they did a really good job going zone to man a lot. It's difficult it's just difficult to play against. So we tried to keep it really as basic and as simple as possible. And CJ made a great play there.
Did that switching lead to you playing more three-guard lineups than maybe you had intended, or was that the plan going in?
I think in some ways, because you're just looking to play basketball there, and you're looking for your best ball handlers and shooting. So that played into it. But I expect that we'll play three-guard lineups for a good part of the year.
Chris, when you have a guy like Luther who obviously plays with a little fire, what's that conversation like when he makes a big shot but also kind of gets carried away there a little bit, and how would you assess the way he played tonight?
What was the conversation like? It was an interesting conversation, and it was pretty one-sided. But he realized it. He realized it. I think when you're young, you kind of feel, that you can do some of that stuff. You can do a lot of it in AAU, and this is different here. Officials have their eyes on that. I think it was Terry who made the call, and it was the right call to make in that situation. He was great. He handled it. Luther is a tremendous competitor, and he recognized that he made a mistake in that situation, and that's all I wanted to communicate to him.
But you don't want him to lose that competitive edge, because that's what makes him.
That's why we love him. That's why we recruited him, because he brings a great competitive spirit. That's why we recruited him.
Chris, does this team bring up better than what you thought you were going to be in your first game? I don't want to say you were worried about this game, but you knew it was going to be a tough environment and against a program that you said 8 straight, NCAA tournament appearances. Just how would you assess how they played tonight compared to how you thought you guys might play?
I really want to watch the tape. From just the naked eye, I think that we did some really good things. I was pleased with our poise. I thought we made shots like I thought we would, but it's really too early for me to make any statements about how we're going to be. I'm more interested on how we're going to respond in practice tomorrow than making any grand. I get your question, but make any statements about kind of where we're at as a team right now. So I'm more interested in how we're going to practice tomorrow.
Chris, what makes a team able to go on the road, tough environments, you guys did it some last year, and get a hard-fought win against a good team? What commonalities are there in those type of teams?
Obviously good players and guys that understand it's not a game of perfect. And I think as much as you can communicate that with your guys, that it's not a game of perfect, and we're trying to move on and win the next possession as quickly as you can get your guys to have that mindset, I think the better. And, we'll see if we're tough enough to consistently do that. This is one game. I don't know how we're going to be beyond on the road, This is one game, so we'll see how we are moving forward.
Chris,
Two more,
Chris, I
please.
thought Kyle Young really kind of came
Yeah.
on through the game. Is that how you saw it, and what were you happy about?
Well, I think we challenged all of our guys with how hard they play and how, mixed teams, in my mind, they're as good at getting loose balls, and whether it's a rebound loose ball or a loose ball they just get the ball as good as anybody. So I think Kyle's motor was pivotal tonight for us, and we did challenge our guys with, hey, listen, that you're going to play with against high motor guys, and they're in scramble situations the way they defend. So it did free him up to kind of use his motor and go get some balls.
Chris, when you signed off on this to come here and play, was this what you had in mind? Put it aside winning or losing, but just the moment, the experience. Was this
I think
what you
so.
envisioned?
Yeah, I do think so. I thought it would be a great environment. I don't know that I even anticipated this environment. I mean, it was, like I said, it was tremendous. I'm sure, it was not always aesthetically pleasing. Two defensive teams that struggled a little bit offensively, so I get it that it may not have been at times the most pleasing game to watch, but it was a heck of a competitive college basketball game for the second night of the season.
Chris,
Thanks, Coach.
Can I ask one more, Dan?
Sure, real quick.
You talked about in the offseason maybe not knowing quite what this team's defensive identity would be, but you just labeled this as two defensive teams. Just how do you feel about where you guys are on that side?
Well, I think that's how we have to be. I think it's interesting that they're in a bit of a transition year, or not transition year, but transition in terms of some new faces. So I don't want to give our defense too much credit because I think that they probably missed some shots that they normally make. That has to be our identity, Bill, and I'm anxious to see, when we're 10 to 12 games into this, if that is our identity.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.